Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today is a really fun video and we're going to be talking about some letters I wrote to my politicians and government and companies and some responses I got. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. A little bit of background first. Why did I write 31 plus letters during July? This was for Plastic Free July. Traditionally, this is a month where you try to use zero plastic. And if you didn't know, I was in the middle of moving from Japan to Las Vegas, and it's very, very hard to avoid plastic when you're traveling, when you're living in hotels, when you're trying to find a house and all that stuff. So it was just too much stress for me that month to focus on reducing my plastic to zero. Also, it was impossible during that time. So I thought, let's do something else, something that's still good for the planet, something that's still good for social good. And I decided to write letters for the entire month of July through the Letters for Change hashtag letter writing campaign created by my friend Coco. I'll leave her channel, Instagram, TikTok linked down below and above. And it's also just pushed me out of my comfort zone and held me accountable for once, because I've always said I wanted to write letters, but I was never really inspired to, and I never really had a reason to. Oh, there's always a reason, but I didn't have like that accountability factor. So I thought, I'm gonna participate in this campaign and I'm gonna document it on TikTok. I have people to hold me accountable. So if you wanna go check out the full 31 days of me writing letters, it is on TikTok. And I also wanted to do this video to kind of give you some inspiration as to who to write letters to, kind of how to write letters a little bit, and then also some instances in how to reply to people when they have bad responses, because there will be bad responses. Additionally, I do have a video talking about letter writing tips, which can also be applied to phone calls if that's more your realm, but it's full of different tips for writing politicians and businesses. I'll leave it linked above as well. Okay, I guess let's go. These are in no particular order. Some are very good responses, like very thought out, good customer service. Some are probably worse than you can imagine, unfortunately. I wish that I had gotten responses from everybody, but a lot of the time I just like submitted a form on their website, and so I didn't even get to see my response, like what I wrote to them in the first place. And I'd say only half the time did people actually respond. For example, I've emailed my mayor here in Las Vegas several times about getting public trash cans in my neighborhood. I've gotten replies once. I also just emailed her recently about water restrictions. I have a video about that and Lake Mead drying up. I'll leave it linked above. Oh, I was basically talking to her about golf courses. I also just ranted about golf courses. All these videos I'm mentioning will be linked in the description box as well. And I was like, hey, I think it's pretty unfair that we as citizens are facing water restrictions, but the golf courses really aren't. And I didn't get a reply. Okay, we're starting off with a good one. I thought we were starting off bad. There were several times in July where I just went to a website like Citizens Climate Lobby, and other stuff like that, where you just type in your address, it finds your senators for you, and then it gives you a template as well. So you literally just have to put in your name and your zip code, and it'll send a letter for you. You can add more personal details. I often did, but if you just want to quick write your letter and get your voice out there, name, zip code, send. Less than a minute. But when I did that, I got some really good responses from my senators. Here is the first one. I'm not going to read it all, but if you want to pause to read, you can. Basically, this person, Senator Brown, you can tell that they stand with climate change. They think it is a very important matter, and I think that is amazing. Okay, now let's move into the first sad one. As I mentioned already, my neighborhood has no trash cans. None for dog poop, none for trash. Probably the very first thing I noticed about moving to Las Vegas is that there is trash everywhere. And so I mentioned to my council people, councilwomen, councilmen, mayor, like, hey, I'm moving from a country where there was literally zero trash on the ground. Even in the heart of Tokyo, you won't find trash anywhere. What's the deal? And a lot of it, I think, is socially and societal issues that'll take a while to, form habits to clean up after yourself. But Japan is also very good about like having access to public trash cans, not necessarily out on the street, but having trash cans outside of supermarkets, having trash cans outside of convenience stores, outside of gas stations. There's really not that in Las Vegas. Something I did notice though is there's a lot of like dog poop trash cans and like the little baggy stations in wealthy neighborhoods. And there's a few, you can tell they're very wealthy neighborhoods, like right down the road, they have dog poop trash cans and we don't. Anyway, the excuse I got was the city can only install and maintain trash and pest receptacles on property that it owns. And I'm like, cool, there's a public park in my neighborhood. There are public sidewalks in my neighborhood. The neighborhoods right down the road, they have parks smaller than ours. And they have dog poop trash cans. Basically, the issue is not only do we see unbagged poop all over the neighborhood, but also bagged poop. People will just bag it, tie it up, and throw it on the sidewalk for it to become litter. I'm coming from a good place, like, hey, I'm just trying to get the litter problem taken care of, you can help out too by providing some trash cans. Oh, where's the second response? There was another time, but pretty much what they said was, I emailed them again, hey, we need dog poop trash cans, and they literally replied, it's not our fault, like citizens need to pick up after themselves. And I'm like, well, obviously they're not. Let's just move on to the next one. Okay, so this next one was with Starbucks. I had gone to get a drink with someone from work. I didn't have my reusable cup, which is fine, you know, we all have to use plastic sometimes. But the issue that I was like made aware of was, first, Starbucks recreated their cold cups. It used to be like a standard with a hole in the middle that you punch your straw through. They've since changed that for it to mimic like the hot cup style lid where you just sip out of it. They still hand out straws. I'm like, wasn't the point of this new lid design to limit the number of straws they give? They still give out straws. The second issue I saw with this Starbucks, I've not gone inside a Starbucks in years, so I don't know if this is the case with all of them, but this certain one, you know, they're so proud that their plastic is recyclable. We're so eco-friendly, we love recycling. They don't have recycle bins. And even if they did, you can't recycle a dirty cup that's still full of ice and got whipped cream on it, you know? So I basically pointed that out to Starbucks, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be handing out straws if you're so passionate about saving the turtles that you redesigned your whole lid. And then also, you should probably have recycling bins at all of your locations, as well as an area for customers to rinse off their dirty cups, so that all these cups don't have to end up in the landfill. Let's see what they said, shall we? Oh, this was the first one that really got me fired up. We're so thankful for your feedback. We truly understand your concern. Please know that our cups may be recyclable if the customer's local recycling system accepts polyethylene coated paper. This is talking about their hot cups. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. That's it. I replied, like, hey, I don't think you understand my question. Cool that some areas do accept those cups, but I'm concerned about the straight up plastic cold cups. And I said, as you highlighted, the key problem that Starbucks and other companies that corporations are known for is blaming the consumer and putting this responsibility on them and being like, hey, your area recycles, just take it home and recycle it yourself. That's not our problem. That cup's not in our hands anymore. So I said some consumers don't have recycling at work and home, and it's not their responsibility to be responsible for Starbucks' waste. And I even quoted her, as you said, Starbucks is very concerned with the plastic pollution crisis, but the actions from the company say otherwise. So something I do want to point out with Starbucks though is that it seems that it's an actual person replying to me and not a bot. We'll get to that later. And they seemed like they were trying to formulate a good response, but still it was just like, thanks for the feedback. We care about the earth. Don't you worry. Okay, moving on. I put lots of bad ones in here. This one was another one to my Ohio representatives. I'm still a resident of Ohio, so that's where I vote. It was another one of those like, put in your zip code, we'll send you a letter with a template. And this went to a congressman, not a senator, a representative. He's in the House of Representatives, that's what I mean. And boy, oh boy, is this exactly the response that I expected, because he is actually in my district. My district is very red. Anti-climate change. By anti-climate change, I mean like anti-climate change policy. Again, here's the whole letter. You can read it for yourself, but here are some highlights from this letter. There is no consensus within the scientific community on the global warming hypothesis. There's a lot of evidence, a lot. And I replied to this email with that evidence from NASA, from like the Worldwide Fund, from other scientific organizations that I can't think of right now, being like, yeah, climate change is real, pal. And then I believe climate research should be rooted in sound science rather than the agenda of special interests. I had no word. I'm like, it's not like it's possible that there's like lobbying and stuff for this. Opposite is what I'm thinking is like the meat industry funds research into showing us that meat is good for us. And just like, 30 years ago, the tobacco industry is funding research to prove that smoking is good for us. I don't even know who would be so evil as to try to make up climate change. There's evidence. We're seeing evidence right now. The extreme snow we're seeing in Texas, the extreme drought we're seeing in Las Vegas, all the hurricanes and the flooding we're seeing in New York City. Where did it go? Okay, there's still one more. This was the line that actually destroyed me, destroyed my hope, even if it was just for a few moments. Please know that in Congress, I will actively oppose policies that advance climate change agenda that hurts economic growth. This man straight up said, if it does not make this country money, I will not support it. I don't care if it saves lives. If it doesn't make money, who cares? And that's just when it really hit me. This letter in particular, like, yeah, the other is just bad policies from companies, but this hit me that, wow, people actually believe this. And they're in our government. This letter was actually my turning point with my content this year. If you missed my video, I made an update talking about how I don't really want to talk about brands and swaps anymore. I need to talk about activism. And it's because of this man. I can thank him for one thing, and that is making me want to fight for this harder. Until everyone can get behind the science and quit politicizing this is what I need to do. Okay, let's move on to a better one. Is this a happy one? I don't think so. Oh well, we'll move on. So this next one, again, Jeff from Assistant to Councilwoman Michelle Fiore. I don't know. Again, this was me typing through their forum on their website, so I couldn't see what I wrote to them in the first place, but I'm pretty sure it was me being like, hey, there's a lot of litter everywhere. The city really needs to fund public trash cans, better recycling, and city cleanups. And he pretty much said that, oh, well, in Las Vegas, we have a nonprofit who can help you clean up the city. You can volunteer with them and so forth. And I'm like, Jeff, that's not the point. The point is that people are still littering, our recycling system is broken, we need to stop the problem at its source, not just keep doing cleanups. So that's kind of disappointing, but I don't have much else to say about that. Okay, but here we are with another good one. Right when I found out I was moving back to the States, I was so excited. I'm like, yes, bulk stores, more access to like package-free products. And then I get here and my local Sprouts was still doing that whole bulk bin thing where they pre-bag everything into like 1 pound bag, and the bulk bins were essentially closed for self-service. And I'm like, no, I mean, I get it for COVID. I don't really get it. At the time, Nevada was not having a mask mandate. So they're like, you don't have to wear masks. You can run around breathing on everybody. Don't you dare use self-service bulk bins. So I emailed Sprouts. I'm like, hey Sprouts, it would be really, really cool if you, where did it go? It'd be really cool if you could open your bulk bins again, so that way we can reduce our plastic waste at your stores and so forth. It might be a coincidence, it might not, because I did have to put in the exact branch I shop at. The next week, maybe just a couple days, maybe like 2 or 3 days later, Sprouts' bulk bins were open for self-service. So regardless, they had a really good response. They were very helpful. And I might have done something. Okay, next. This one doesn't make me mad. This one's just straight up disappointing. So I was picking up litter, and this is kind of how I went about choosing who to write to for the entire month. It was kind of hard some days picking someone to write to, but it's pretty much like whatever happened that day was who I wrote to. So I was picking up litter in my neighborhood, as I do, walking my dog every day, and I found a Dasani water bottle. So first off I said, well, it's disappointing that I'm finding your brand's litter all over my neighborhood. But second, I saw that you have a plant bottle label. So I was just inquiring about what this means, like how much percentage of plants is it made out of? How is it recycled if it's a mixed material? Can it be composted? Why not be 100% plants? I just asked a bunch of questions. And basically, so I made a video about bioplastics. I don't think I have any more cards up here, so you can check out in the description. Basically saying that if bioplastics aren't composted, they are just as bad sitting in the landfill as petroleum-based plastics. But what I'm curious with this is they're only like a percentage of this bottle is made of plants. And I'm like, is it possible to recycle like a 30% bio-based, 70% petroleum-based product with other 100% petroleum-based products? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. And so I asked, and this was their response. Thank you for contacting Coca-Cola. Insert response. I lost all faith in humanity that day. And so, should you have additional questions or comments, please feel free to contact us. So I said, hey, I still do have further questions and concerns. I pretty much just copy and pasted my exact message back, and also asking like, hey, is this a bot? What the heck is this? And their response was just as bad as the first one, even though it had words. It said, Dasani is now available in plant bottle packaging. The first fully recyclable plastic bottle made with up to 30% plant-based materials. This folks is greenwashing. I have a video on that as well. This is when, in the Starbucks was a great example as well. When they're all like, we care about the environment. We use a certain percentage of plants, but we don't tell you how to recycle it. We don't tell you how we're making more improvements. And also the up to 30%. It could be 0. With that verbiage, it could still be 0% plants. And I still don't understand how it's fully recyclable. So I asked them again, hey, how is this actually recycled? And I got no response. Those are all the responses I got. Maybe not every single one, but most of them, which is pretty sad. What was that, like 10 maybe? Over 31. Some days, like I said, I wrote to all of my congressmen in one day. Some days I wrote to 5 golf courses in one day. So I probably wrote close to 100 letters in a whole month, and I did not get very many replies, which is sad. But I just wanted to let you know too that even if you're not getting responses, keep writing. Even if you're getting bad responses, like I got from Coca-Cola, keep writing. It is important to put that bug in people's ears. I heard this number once that once you hear something like X amount of times, it finally starts to sink in. For example, my whole life I've heard about veganism. I thought it was silly, I thought it was gross, and then one day it just kind of hit me. Someone's like, yeah, if you're vegan, you can cut your land, resource, water footprint by a lot. And I'm like, huh, that kind of makes sense. And then I just started doing my own research. So the point is, if I keep writing my mayor about the trash problem in Las Vegas, once I get to like emailing them 50 times, they're gonna be sick of me and finally respond, so I shut up. But also too, they're gonna start to realize, maybe this is a problem. And not just me, but also like get people in your area to help as well. Because say if me and all 100 people who live in my neighborhood write about the trash problem, they're more likely to reply and take positive action instead of just me writing them. So I hope that you enjoyed this more casual, laid-back video, and I hope it gave you some inspiration on who to write to, how to write letters, and also just don't get discouraged. It can be very discouraging, but for example, when I got discouraged from some of those really terrible responses, I would just take a break for a few days from writing, and then get back into it. And again, if calling is more your jam, then you can call as well. I also really encourage you all to sign up for Citizens Climate Lobby newsletter. This isn't sponsored or anything, but not only do they make it super easy to write letters, they also remind you. They send me emails every now and then like, hey, this bill is getting ready to be passed in the House. Write your representatives now. And I'm like, oh cool, thank you. And they also give you numbers to call, emails, super, super helpful. And don't forget to check out my video on letter writing tips. So that's all that I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. I talk about all sorts of things zero waste here on this channel, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm gearing that more toward activism these days and not so much products and stuff. So if you're interested in that, hit subscribe. If you made it all the way here, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I forgot to mention this earlier. Let me know which letter you think was the worst. Personally, I think it is a tie between my congressman saying how climate change is a hoax and Coca-Cola's insert response. Those are both equally terrible for different reasons. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Has your experience been better or worse, the same as mine? Let me know. But until next time, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. Are you eating something? Hey, psst. Mooch! Hey! No! And let me know your experience letter writing down below. Have you gotten any responses like this? Yours, and oh my gosh, all words left my head. Experience.